next topic for our panel discussion is going to be pivoted around the central question stating that will Kirana Tech tap into Bharat's elusive fortune? A panel of illustrious speakers and moderators. We have for us, I'm just going to introduce Mr. Jaideep Pawar, CEO and Director, Pay10 and Gram ePay. So with this context, I hand the stage over to you.
We have seen many newer use cases in terms of automating the entire digital storefront for the Kirana stores so that the entire accounts payables, receivables, inventory management, vendor management, entire stock management, sales and distribution, entire thing gets digitalized. So what is your view on the newer models that are evolving and in terms of differentiation and retention?
I have a different view, Dr. Jasmine. One is we are still a long way to go. If you look at the entire ecosystem of Kiranas, we have close to about 20 million Kirana stores in the country, as reported officially. Unofficially, there are a large number of them. Of that, only 10% of them have adopted digital technology and digital solutions, while most of them have taken payment offerings like Pay10 QR code from various payment processors. But there is still a missing gap, which I guess is expected to be filled by ONDC platform, which is expected to come and largely address that challenge. Just to give you a backdrop of number, how this sector is very important for the nation. In terms of GDP, it contributes to around 10% of the GDP in the nation. In terms of billion-dollar revenue, about $1,000 billion is expected to come by 2030 in this sector itself. In terms of the segment, 70% of the Kirana segment does cater to food and grocery segment. Big e-commerce companies like Amazon, Flipkart are not able to solve this problem. Now, looking at these milestone challenges and last mile delivery challenges, there are unique personas of the Kirana Tech owners out there or Kirana owners out there. He is a one-man shop or maybe maximum 2-3 people running that entire ecosystem. They have adopted digital technology for that matter in their own ways. During pandemic, we have seen most of the Kirana shop owners have created the WhatsApp group of the communities in and around, and they have serviced their customers in and around. In fact, they were the backbones during the entire pandemic era which we have gone through, and they have rather regained the trust of the consumers now. Consumers are believing in them more. What is required from the ecosystem and as well as government, which I'm sure government is doing a lot of work in terms of building the ONDC platform and helping the ecosystem. The differentiating factor is how we are able to capture value in the ecosystem and how we are trying to create a value for the ecosystem. Now, let me try and explain this. The Kirana ecosystem is driven by multiple stakeholders in the company. There is a fast-moving consumer good manufacturing company, they have a super stockist, then they have a distributor, then they have a wholesaler, and then comes a Kirana. There are multiple stakeholders in the ecosystem, and if we are trying to address that, only we will service the end Kirana owner out there, and we are missing the gap between the middle layer out there. We are trying to fool ourselves. If we don't take care of the middle layer out there, we don't integrate the entire supply chain ecosystem, what Sandeep mentioned some time back, we are missing the huge gap. While a lot of fintechs, a lot of Kirana techs are trying to address this gap, but there is still a long way to go. And I'm very sure with ONDC coming in, these all challenges will be plugged in, and hopefully in days to come, we will have a lot of exciting times for the entire ecosystem, especially in Kirana Tech. They will create a lot of employments. They contribute to about 10% of the workforce in the country nowadays.
I think this is the last question from our side, and we will then be open for questions from the audience. What, according to you, are the challenges in the Kirana Tech space, and your final thoughts, closing lines?
So the real challenge is on the transparency. The ecosystem is still not transparent. Lot of stakeholders are doing it in a closed loop. Every fast-moving consumer good company has its own network, and they are not sharing the data. So collaboration is missing. That's one. The second challenge is of a credit offtake. Suddenly during Diwali and Dussehra or any festive season, consumer needs a certain requirement of credit, which is missing. And largely, since these people are dealing in cash, they are managing businesses in cash, no bank is willing to give them urgent credit. So that's a critical requirement which needs to be solved. And the most important factor is that there is an emergence of deep discounting by large e-commerce companies. So that's a real threat which they are facing in the market, be it Walmarts of the world or Amazons of the world. They are trying to penetrate the market, but I'm seeing it that last couple of years they are trying to penetrate this market, but they have found it very difficult to enter and penetrate this ecosystem because of the kind of trust and relationship which these guys have built.
And especially we saw this in the pandemic.
Yes,
Wherein
yes.
I think big players failed and the Kirana stores actually were the lifeline for the people.
Absolutely. And the reason for that is that the investments done in this relationship for ages, even the distributor gives the credit to a Kirana guy for say around 30 days or 45 days, depending upon the relationship which he enjoys with the said distributor, which is unlikely not possible with someone like Amazon. They would want funds to be given to them, even if he's buying a product at a large discount. He would need to be paid well in advance, which is not possible for a Kirana guy. So these are the challenges, and I'm sure industry is working on solving those challenges, and maybe in days to come, we'll see some of the large fintechs. Few fintechs have solved the problem on a B2B level. They have given storefronts, to name few, Udaan and Shopee, Kirana Shop, Kirana King, Store King. There are a lot of them. Even Elastic Run is doing it in a B2B space. But we are yet to see on the Kirana store space whether the problem is really getting solved or not.
Right, right.